Thank you, Reverend Nathan. So we had a wonderful bhajana. It says Jesus, the Rabbi. So the words of Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount brought emancipation to the humanity. So it is not for a small group, it is not a large group, it is for the whole humanity. For today's meditation, we read one portion from the Bible, Matthew chapter 25, verses 41 to 45. I'll read. Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me." They also will answer, "Lord, when did you see you hungry or thirsty or stranger or needing clothes or sick in prison and did not help you?" He will say, "I tell you the truth, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me." So this is a familiar parable. In Matthew chapter 25, we see three parables, the foolish wise and foolish virgins, then the parable of talent, and the parable of sheep and God. So in this parable, Jesus is a trial scene. It is a courtroom. So Jesus, the Son of Man, is a judge now. He's judging the whole humanity. So when he is judging the whole humanity, the basis for the verdict, the condition for the verdict is, whatever you have done to one of these least of my brethren, you have done to me. If you didn't do anything to one of these least, you didn't do to me. So that is a wonderful statement by Jesus. Jesus is identifying with the least. So we see four types of characters there. One is Son of Man, Jesus. Then one group is identified as a sheep, that is a righteous group, or they are also written as people on the right. Then there are another group of people on the left. They are identified metaphorically as gods, and they are on the left. Then there is another group, that is the group of the least. So Jesus is projecting this least and identifying with the least. So these least are Jesus' own people. So that shows the character of Jesus. When Jesus incarnated into this world, he was always siding with the poor. Theologians will say that Jesus has a preferential option to the poor. So we see that character in the pages of the gospel. So Jesus was not supporting the corporates. Jesus was not supporting the royal people, but he was always siding with the poor. And he got the nickname that he is the companion of sinners and tax collectors. So he always identified. He vindicated even the woman caught in adultery. He vindicated his poor disciples. He touched the lepers. So whoever were marginalized, whoever were deserted by the mainstream of the society, whoever were on the lower ranks of the society were accepted by Jesus. So Jesus was always siding with them. Jesus was always identifying with the poor or the least. So in Luke's gospel, we see that Jesus came to save the lost, the least, and the last. So here we see he's identifying with the least. So who are these least? In Jesus' society, there were people of the land who were left by the Babylonian conquest. So majority of the people went to Babylonia, and the rest of the people, the poor people, were left in Judea itself. And these people were considered as a people of the land. They're dirty. They are not exposed to the corporate culture or developed culture of Babylonia. And there were tax collectors. People considered these tax collectors as the agents of the dominant Roman Empire. So they were the ally of the conquerors or the dictators or the tyrants. Then there were lepers, and there were so many people from the lower ranks of the society. So Jesus searched them. Jesus was seeking the lost, the last, and the least. Then, in our society also, as we are the ambassadors of Jesus Christ, we have to seek the last, the lost, and the least. So we don't know, in each time period, we can identify this least to the lower ranks of the society. So in this pandemic world, these migrant workers, these marginalized groups, all these are women. So domestic violence is increasing. Then child labor is increasing, child marriages are increasing. Even in the cultured Kerala, so many brides are burned or killed, murdered for dowry. So all these domestic violences are increasing against women. And among women, there are so many other poor Dalit women, or there are so many marginalized groups are suffering because of the dominance of the top people or the rich people or the dominant people. Then among the transgenders, there are so many groups, LGBTQ groups. So they are also marginalized. They are on the outskirts of the main society. So if Jesus was incarnate in these days, so to whom Jesus will side? Who are the people Jesus possibly identify? So with which people group Jesus will identify in today's context? We have to think about that. So the experience of this list is given here. So they were hungry, they were thirsty, they were in prison, they were naked, they were sick. So we know, so majority of the parables are metaphorically presented. So we can see the physical side and the metaphorical side of this parable. So metaphorically, in Beatitudes, we see Matthew 5:6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. So there are people who hunger and thirst for acceptance, love, compassion, then justice. So many people are hungry and thirsty for that. They are in the imprisoned of society. They are imprisoned by the rich people. They are imprisoned by the social stigma. They are naked. They cannot come out because they are separated and isolated by the mainstream of the society. They are sick. They are not whole because the whole people, the so-called male and female, are considering them as sick. So we can find out the metaphorical meaning and the physical direct meaning from this parable. So I am not prolonging my words. So the attitude of Jesus is very important here. Whatever you have done to one of these least of my brethren, you have done to me. So the reward is given according to the standard that how you have accepted the least, accepted the marginalized, how you have ministered this marginalized, how you have helped this marginalized, how you have shared the pains of this marginalized. So according to that basis, Jesus is giving reward. So the entrance into the blissfulness, entrance into the joy is based on whatever you have done to one of these least. So friends, we have to understand the real meaning of the words of Jesus. So we have to have a sympathetic attitude. We have to identify with the people with the people. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes, you are audible. You are audible.
Yeah. So we have to think about if Jesus was here in the contemporary context, with whom Jesus would identify. So we have to have the attitude of Jesus. So his humility, his sympathetic attitude, his compassion, we have to imbibe that attitude, and we have to understand the realities, and we have to identify with the least. So let me conclude my short devotion. So I am putting this challenge before you to with whom we are siding, with whom we are identifying. We have to think about that. Who are the least in our community, in our society? So we have to think about these things, and we have to show compassion and kindness to the deserving ones. Thank you. May God bless you through these words. I thank all the coordinators, especially Reverend Dr. Jyoti Kumar, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Once again, thank you all. Now, Reverend Jonathan will be praying and concluding this session with the benediction.